Hey, good morning everybody. Just waking up for a Sunday morning at the Kedar Lodge. This is going to be a very brief intro for today because we've got so much to cram in. I've got a backlog of film footage from yesterday that's going to take a few days to catch up on. But this morning we're booked in for a tour, 9 AM to see Paul Kruger's house, President Kruger. The house that he lived in up here. There's lots of things in the gardens that I still haven't filmed. We haven't filmed or visited Cecil John Rhodes. I haven't filmed the reception area. Now, a little sad and of interest, you know, it's obvious that so much work has gone into creating this slice of paradise. Chap we were talking to last night that was showing us around and giving us all that fascinating information. I asked him who built all this, whose idea was it, and it was his friend, and his friend was killed in a car accident not long before all this came to fruition. They were supposed to be in the same car, but his friend had gone ahead and taken a separate car, and so this is his legacy really. So I'm not going to waffle on much this morning. I'm going to get out there and start exploring now. So, alright, you're going to love what I've got for you. Trust me. Bye. Brian, tell him we've got to get our stuff out of the room before 9. Oh, look at that. Look at this, guys. Look. It's a baby kudu. See if I can get it on there. These are young kudus, sir. They'll be young does, kudu does. Beautiful deer, just outside our room. That is a kudu doe, Anna, isn't she beautiful? Tiny little feet, big soft eyes, big ears, because they got to hear the lion. She's the main course on the meat eaters menu around here, so she's very timid, really switched on. That's a kudu, a doe. So where we are now is the Paul Kruger house, and then we have a privilege of just Brian and I, and the tour guide is Eloise, who was unable to understand my E as an A yesterday. So he's opening up for us.
And the problem is that gets caused by that. You and I and everybody suffers.
This is the view from the Kruger farmhouse. I mean, he would have been in his element. He loved hunting, Kruger. He loved shooting things, smoking his pipe, cursing the British, reading his Bible. These are the things the president enjoyed. He, as we were discussing last night, maintained the world to be flat. I think it's probably all part of his.
Morning everyone, so welcome to the Kruger house. So this very same property belongs to Paul Kruger. It's a 1,400 hectare property. So during his time, I would say rub off everything that you have seen. In your imagination should only be this, from the entrance to the current situation where we are right now. So you need to wrap the hotel, you need to wrap almost everything that is modern and come back to this.
Just
So
the
the-
main. And going that way.
So his farm was on the main road.
Not necessarily.
Sure.
Back then, there was never a main road.
Ah,
You would
just a
definitely
track.
have to go through somebody else's property to get to somewhere. Yes.
Sure.
And then when he bought this property from Bronkhorst, the only house that was on this property was that one there, that mud house.
That little one there.
Yeah, built in 1839, finished in 1840.
Sure.
What we're doing now is trying to maintain it, because where most of the history is. Paul Kruger, when he arrived on this property, he built that first house in 1862.
So that was the first
That
one.
was the first house, this small one, this
Yeah.
small white one. That's the first house that Paul Kruger built on this property in 1862. 11 years later, 1873, he went on and built that yellow house. That was the main house that he has built. And then he built a school in 1888, as his son Peter Kruger built that one there at the same time in 1888. So yes, so there is no history, because you can see as well Peter Kruger's house is a little bit modern. So are the furnitures and stuff, so there's no exhibition there.
Yeah.
We will be able to exhibit that house, that one, and the school. Then
Nice.
after it's done.
Thank you very much.
I'm just looking at it from my father was a civil engineer. So I'm looking at the ground there, the wall there. This would have obviously run down.
And how privileged are we to have Eloise to ourselves?
This the ground back and
What you folks couldn't see were these little sort of African squirrels. I saw this little character run. He had a big bushy tail. Went straight up one of these trees. An African squirrel. Now what Eloise said was, you guys couldn't see, but we can now as we come up the steps. The original dwelling was this thatched hut, which they're going to try and restore to its original condition. We're walking in history. Paul Kruger, Paul they called him. Poor old man died in exile in Holland. He never saw Africa again after he fled the British during the Boer War. It says Pioneer Cottage, one of the oldest Boer farmhouses north of the Vaal. Got to keep up, got to keep up. Look at this place. The bust is gone. Okay, in we go.
we're going in
Thank you
first.
very much.
From the wall.
Yeah.
Smells old.
It stays
It's cool inside. When it's cold outside, it's warm inside.
Yeah, so this preserves the heat. Well, number one, it preserves the heat one way, and the other way it keeps it cool.
Yeah. At the age of 14, Paul Kruger killed a lion with one bullet. You have the lion skin behind you there. It's a picture history, not the exact one that was killed,
Okay.
representing the story of the lion he killed.
Okay.
At the age of 16, he went on and married his first wife, Maria Duplessis. She died whilst giving birth, and the child didn't survive. So he went on and married the cousin to the first wife, Gesina Velomina Susanna Duplessis. This is Gesina right here. In this photo, that's Gesina. Together, Gesina and Paul Kruger had 16 children. So this is Paul Kruger himself. And then that's him right there at his
Left arm, it's
elderly
on
age.
form.
And then those are the two Boer Republic presidents,
Stein.
President Martina Steyn of Free State and President Stephanus Paulus Creer of Transvaal. Those were the two Boer Republic presidents. And then we have Paul Kruger's calendar right there. From Monday to Sunday, you can see it. It says January to December. It gives you the dates within the month, and then that's the movement of the calendar on its death.
So,
And then this-
was this always here, or was it lost and you brought it back again to restore?
It was always here.
Okay.
No, the one house that I was talking about is that one there, that mud house.
But I think what you're meaning is the pictures. Is that what
Yeah, well, everything, furniture, did you have to bring it back or it never left?
Okay, what I can say is 85% of the furniture that is here is original, meaning a few items could be
Added.
back then and added.
Sure.
But 85% will be the
That would be
original.
how they washed themselves.
And then in there
That's
is the kitchen. This was Gesina's favorite room. What we're seeing right there on that on those wooden corner there, that will be the butter making, cream separating. That's how they used to do their butter and cream separating.
Sure.
And then we've got candlestick, what they used to do to make candles with. Yes, but they would use animal fat instead of wax.
Yeah, because
That's
that's
what
what
they-
they
yes.
do that and make
Yes.
your own way.
And then we've got those grills there, the one that you. So one of them is either for, depending with the teeth inside the grill, one would be for coffee bean grinding
Okay.
if it's flat, and then if it has got big teeth, that's for mince meat.
For meat, yeah. So you take the beef meat and put it
Mince.
to make
Grind it, yes. And then
It's not an easy life for the ladies back then. No vacuum cleaners, girls. No washing machine.
and then here, if you were to come today, is Paul Kruger's guest. This is the room that you would have stayed.
The guest room, is it?
Guest room.
So
This is the guest room of the Krugers. If you want to come and visit Uncle Paul, you can be guaranteed you'll hear some Bible quotations. If you're lucky, he'll let you sit and smoke your pipe, and he'll discuss politics with you. Don't forget the 16 children running around here. So it's going to be noisy at dinner time, but you'll get some Bible quotations after dinner, rest assured.
In here,
Wow, look at the wallpaper.
so it is said this is the very chair that Paul Kruger made with his own hands. We called him a jack of all trades by then because there is nothing they didn't do.
yeah.
He made this out of the buchanut tree. The buchanut
Yes,
tree,
buchanut tree, yeah.
is the beechwood tree.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's hard, That's
And then when the Forsyths bought the place and then decided to keep it as a museum, the wallpaper you're seeing was plucking off the wall, so they took it, sent it for recap of it, and then they made a true copy of the original.
Copy
So
of the
this is-
original.
Wow.
This is a true copy of the original. That can only be proven by this picture in this room, right here. If you check the top corner picture, you can see on Paul Kruger and the family, and check the wallpaper behind it. It tells you that that's
It's the
Paul,
same.
right?
Oh, that one.
Top one there.
You can see the wallpaper, people. Is that his kids?
They should be his kids. I'm sure maybe some of the daughters had grown up with some.
So they've matched the wallpaper
Yes.
with the reproduction.
And
There's
then that
the
room
old
right
fella
next to
there.
you that will be the presidential suite.
All right.
That is the president's bedroom.
This is
That
where,
is Paul Kruger's bedroom.
that's where the
The
old...
green color on the wall was an insect repellent color. The green color on the windows was for termites. The lady on the golden photo there, right on your right, the big picture frame, her name is Rebecca Margaret. Rebecca Margaret is the lady that saved the Boer flag. She had to wear it under her skirt so that it doesn't have to be banged by the English.
Yeah, because they burnt it every time. Genre.
So the flag was very important. It was a symbol of unity. So once the flag is banned, it meant bad luck for the Boers.
Look at the ceiling, folks. Look at the ceilings.
Nah.
Oh, never to be. Because I know they used to do dung, right? And they do the thing with the dung.
So we have the collection of the cigars. Like that's the prime tobacco. That's the one that they used to bite, chew, and spit. The one that
Oh,
was
yeah.
sourish. And then these are the pipes for smoking. Some of the stuff that was found on the ground. When the archaeologists were the students from the university, when they were doing the archaeological studies, some of the stuff that you see here was dug on
Was
the
dug
ground
out
in
of-
the
out of it. Wow.
Like this tree that I hear was for bullet making, this tree. And then those two flasks was for gunpowder, including those horns as well.
Yeah, they put the gunpowder in there.
The inks and the seal stamps and cigar box. That is a flow. So that's called a peach seed flow. They would get some peaches and rubble them together on the ground. They'll still use the kettle down to do the whole thing. After it's done, they'll sweep it out and then it will be combined like this.
Yeah, it binds.
And it becomes a fluid, it binds together. But you see it in the next room that we're going to go in. There's that flow exactly. And then that's the cigar box. That little top, it's not like the top that kids would play with. There is more of a spirit level.
Okay,
So
but that's the
put
line.
string is, if the building is not straight, it's
Completely
still
level, yeah.
dangling there in the air. Once it stops playing, then it means the building is level.
Yeah,
and
the
it would continue. Yeah.
And is that a Bible, Eloise?
In each and every room that Paul Kruger had, there was always a Bible. That is one of the original and first Bibles. So is this one right here?
Andries Adriaan Smit Hilbron.
Yeah, and I always had a thing with a Bible on it.
Here's another big Bible.
Just tell me the window in
The size of this one.
But there's a story that says the British bombed this part of the house. And then they had to reconstruct. And they
It looks like, you know, a meeting of Parliament. They're all pleading with Kruger. His men are pleading with him for. This is probably the assembly, the state assembly. This is probably how they conduct business. Oh, they've moved on. Let's go. Oh wow, it's more. There's
He was very conservative Afrikaner.
Yeah.
But you can imagine him. Oh, so there's an upstairs too.
This is for the children.
So this was the kids' room.
Kids' room.
Yeah. If you look on the window there, we've got those bonds. They are called doloses. Those bonds, the kids would tie strings and then they would pull as wagons.
Yeah.
Or they would play with them as trains.
Yeah.
And then you can see there's also a mud bull there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Eloise
And
is.
you can see that small wooden chair that has got a lift. It's a commode that was also
A potty.
a potty.
Yeah, because you didn't have a bathroom to go to at night.
Yep. And then this one right here was also a potty. But this one was specifically carried by soldiers during the war, and only the generals would sit and use it. If you lift the square, then it becomes a toilet.
Okay, yeah, so they had a bucket under it.
So can you see the bones on the windowsill? That's Eloise is saying that the kids use those bones to play with.
And how many kids were, I mean, you had 16 all in all, but how many in this house?
So I believe it's 16 definitely. By their time, a child age 16 was an adult.
Yeah,
That was married.
Yeah.
So if it's 16, it means maybe by the time they got to 16, it's obviously some were already 20s and.
Yeah, and they marry them very young. 14, they were married.
yeah.
After the English had taken over Transvaal, so Paul Kruger had to leave, and then he took a ship in Mozambique.
Yeah, the
that
river
was
north,
sent.
so-
Yes, that was sent by Queen Philomena herself.
Was it that one?
This one below, the Gelderland, that was Queen Philomena's personal ship that came to Lorenzo Marx and took Paul
To fetch him.
It rescued
went
him.
all the way to Netherlands and then eventually died in Switzerland. When he died,
He died in Switzerland.
But the Ferpu, the top one there, that was the ship that brought his remains back to Africa after he had died. That is his gravesite in Pretoria.
Oh, there it is.
Yes, and then in the year 16 December 1904, that's when he was buried. And these are the guys that attended his funeral. These are the family members, the grandchildren, grandsons, daughters, and son-in-laws, etc. You can name them. His funeral was said to have the most attendees. It had over 15,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
15,000.
Now, he left his wife here when he fled.
He did.
He never saw
So
her
she
again.
stayed here. Sure.
That's sad. Oh, okay. Anything up there?
No, would you mention that? Would there be a room upstairs? Or would there
So
be a
it's
room?
an upstairs. The upstairs is a one big open room. The length and the width of this house.
this house,
That's
just one.
how big and open it is on the top there.
And I suppose
Quick look around here. This is where Mrs. Kruger might have belted out a few tunes. Child in Time and, you know. And there she is, there's the happy couple. And some of the family crockery. You know, it's a bit of a sad story. The old fella had to flee, had to run, but you know, in a way, well, he sent the ultimatum to the British. He knew what was coming and he thought it was preferable to fight than to die on your knees, you know.
genuine ones were just like similar to what he had.
One of these was crafted by someone for him. It should be this one that he was using to walk.
Always walk out.
That's an original, but one I don't know about that other one.
Might just be a decorative shop. It's absolutely amazing.
It looks like it was opened in 1981, perhaps. That was brilliant. But
Going left or right?
Right.
Right.
I'll just film this blue.
Oh, that's the heritage.
So he was here till 6 years before the war.
You know, because as you see, you're running down the hill now. So they would have leveled this and made it and built those kind of walls and stuff.
What happened to the plaque, Louise? Or they
We had a head on, then we took it during COVID for safety.
Oh,
So
somebody
we
would
still
steal it.
have to get it back.
That's a beautiful view.
I live in Boxburg and then there was a real estate guy who was a flat. He was a very conservative party guy and he modelled his whole thing on Kruger. He had the beard, he had the barb, everything everywhere.
Okay, we're going into the original residence.
The concept of the building, it just looks exactly the same as the first one we were in, just that this one doesn't even upstairs.
So this is only one story.
Instead of leaving it empty, we did a collection
Wow, look at all that.
of old tools. So you can see the whole tools that people back then,
Tools.
back then used.
Made
Like
shoes.
that one is an Oxtron plow, we've got a millicob remover, wagon brakes, pumps, you know, all
make
sorts
shoes.
of stuff that you could maintain, scales, glass babs, animal traps, etc. You can name them there. And
Look
then
at the
this is,
size of those traps. And that
This is like now
for headaches if
the
you've got a
latest
migraine.
appliances of cream separating from what they were doing to what they started doing, and then this became a machine of the cream separating, transit of milk testing, butter making, and cream separating. This was one of the latest appliances. High tea. This is when the ladies would say, "Today is a Sunday. Let's go sit down and have some discussions."
Out would come the silver.
Yes.
The tea making was the only role the women had in the house. They decided on the tea.
Then we got the trap oral here.
Yeah.
This is where you pedaled and then you
Oh,
could
yeah.
make
Pedal
some
there
sound.
to get the air into, and then you.
And then here you
And this
can
is where she would have played Highway Star
So this is like the original.
and Burn.
the one that you saw in that cabinet that in that room there.
Oh, this is
That's the floor.
So this is
this is the pips.
Yeah,
The pup.
The pips, and they put it in the cow dung, and then they.
That's how they make the floor. They're dried pips, folks.
Then we've got Jacob Arnordi here. That's Jacob Arnordi there.
Oh yeah.
With Rebecca Margaret. That's the same lady with the story of saving the poor flag.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is the original. If you go to what is now known as Town Square in Rustenburg, this is where this church was built. That was the first church built in Rustenburg. The how you call it? Hartford Merde.
Oh, correct. Yeah.
And then this is the old Rustenburg town plan.
Oh, this is the plan. Is it? What's it in wood?
It's all obvious. Music works.
Oh, the wires. Yeah.
And then we've got every gadget that's in here. We have managed to modify and modernize and do everything. They are all found in a cell phone now.
Yeah.
So that's the typewriter, the phone book, cameras, everything is there.
So tell your followers, guys, here's a 1800 and whatever cell phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the 1800 whatever, the full cell phone in its distribution.
Yeah.
So it
So
was
you can
now
type on it, you
combined
can store numbers
We
on
see
it.
the arrival of ambulances when the Indians were coming into the Second Anglo-Boer War in the side of the British.
Yeah.
And then we call them stretcher beds now.
Well, there's the stretchers. Sure.
Mark was telling us about the Gandhi and the
Dolly.
story down there. Yeah.
And then here we got the, what do you call it? There's a printer there.
Oh, printer.
For printer, yes. And this is how they used to do some laces, bobby laces. Back then.
When he lived here, was he the president then?
So he was becoming the president, but remember he was already involved in the politics, but not the president.
So he was a politician, but he wasn't president yet.
He wasn't president yet. Then when he became president, that's when he moved to Pretoria.
Pretoria. Is that the house in Pretoria where he stayed?
Yes.
That house.
Yes.
Some more Bibles.
You know, this is the real deal. Eh? This is the real deal. Pretoria will be more of a museum too. But
Yeah.
And here we see we've got the Rimpis bed.
the
That's
kids would sleep on something like this.
that would,
And then they would have what, koya and material with a koya.
Yeah.
and that is animal sinew or something, is it?
Yep.
Wow.
And then we see the tools there.
Prisoners of war.
It was amazing.
So we're here's a bit of a cannonball. Christ, it's heavy. Look at those. I'm touching them. He doesn't know. Bullets from the Boer War, folks. Look at that. That's a shell from a Mauser. He doesn't know. Yeah, just to put it in context, we haven't left Kedar Lodge, people. This is still on the grounds of Kedar Lodge, and these tours are available if you come out here. My God, there's that picture again of Steyn from the Free State and Kruger. There's a bust of Kruger on his throne. Okay, I think Eloise is going to lock up now.
I don't know if it'll ever happen. And here we are.
What would come through those doors? Deliveries, maybe, or windows?
Remember back then in that time, there was no window factory in the area.
Okay.
You only start seeing windows in 1873, but not in 1860s.
So this would just be open in the day and then closed at night.
No glass, of course.
Yeah. So just for the front, this is Windows 95.
Amazing.
So this is Peter Kruger, the house of Peter Kruger.
This is the
So
sun.
there's no history here.
No.
Kruger died as a general in the Second Anglo-Boer War.
Oh
So
dear.
he was modern, and then his grandchildren stayed here. I'm sure during the time they moved, they took what their grandfather's was, and then it was just left as an empty house. So there's no history.
Say he died in the Second War. So was he killed or was he?
He was a general in the war.
Paul Kruger's eldest son died in the Boer War. It's interesting, isn't it? Lord Roberts, the leader of the British, lost his son. Paul Kruger lost his son in this war, which in the end is kind of unnecessary, and you know, they didn't really need to fight it out, but they could. Anyway.
Was the governess, and then she rode into the battlefield with a horse, saved a lot of soldiers who had been wounded, despite the fact whether they were British
It doesn't matter.
Bua, Indian, black.
Doesn't matter. She said
She went in and took all the wounded and nursed them despite who they were. So was the first lady to get a medal of bravery. So that's the story of this lady here, Emily Beck. If you check on the top of that school roof, when Paul Kruger was building, he ran out of the corrugated hedge. And then by the time he was building, he realized that to get shipment of this from wherever they were getting it, it would take time. So what he did, he took the corrugated thatch and put it on the ground, took the wagon wheels, moved them in between all the corrugated.
Okay.
Only the two ends would be left as they were so that they would connect on the end.
Okay.
And then he managed to cover the
Rest.
remaining.
So the end and the end,
Yes.
and then the rest.
That side is fine, it's only at the back side.
That's right.
And then when his friends came and saw what he had done, they were like, a buri maka plan.
Blood. See, that's where the saying, what you said.
But
And-
there's quite a lot of sayings in the buri maka plan.
For sure. And this schoolhouse, would that
The schoolhouse we're
children
looking at.
be there and
So you
kids
brought
around here?
more of the community.
Not just his kids, some other local farmers' kids too.
And who would be schooling them, Emily?
Not really. Emily Beck is a story different, not from this town, also on this other better of veg cop, something like that.
Yeah.
That's why this whole thing happened.
That wall, Alois, is that original or has that been added?
Original.
You can see a brick
Original.
stone wall.
I'm sure it was even longer than that.
It's a real art form. Have a quick look at Emily. I think, well, she died when I was born. She helped a lot of Boers and British soldiers. What did she do? Well, it's telling us here. Two English ladies resident in the neighbourhood, Miss Back and Miss MacDonald, boldly entered the firing line and dressed wounds. Airy sent back for reinforcement. The message was wrongly delivered or misunderstood. Miss Back, this is her Emily Back, rode in as a second messenger, and 200 Australians under Colonel Lushington and Fitzclarence came out and the enemy were driven off. One memorable incident in this fight deserves mention. During the fight, when the Bushmen were falling right and left and Airy's ambulance could not venture into the bullet-swept field of action, a brave young colonial girl, Miss Emily Back, who was a governess on one of the neighbouring farms, volunteered to go forward and attend to the wounded. This she did with the greatest sang-froid. To many of the Boers she was well known. In any case, they would not fire on a woman. She therefore came scatheless through the ordeal and continued her work of mercy all day long among the poor wounded Australians who were dying of thirst in the broiling sun. One of Baden-Powell's dispatches to Lord Roberts recounted in glowing terms the heroism of this girl and recommended her for the appropriate distinctions. So you can read all about Emily Back. So she was born in the Cape Colony. She was a colonial. Her husband or her father was a captain in the field horse. So Emily married James Houston in Pretoria. Somehow she's ended up here as a governess. Early in the morning of 22nd July, a contingent of mounted Australian troops rode into a Boer ambush. Under withering rifle fire from high ground, no cover except for small bushes and felt grass. Many of their horses were cut down. Casualties were mounting quickly. Emily Back ran towards the commotion from a nearby farmhouse and saw the terrible Boer fire taking its toll. Captain Enchlin of the 3rd Queensland Mounted Infantry described the Boer fire as follows. All the time the bullets, the majority of them explosive ones too, were whistling, singing, exploding and hissing all around us. Well, this is at Costa River. You can see over here some of the Australians. Here they are, the South Australians who fought. There's the Breaker, 3rd from the left. That's Breaker Morant, folks. That's an Australian scout. Goodness me, eh? The New South Wales Imperial Bushman. And Major Thomas, Eland's River Siege, which is the book I've got. These are the Australian forces at Costa River. Goodness me, so we need to thank young Emily. Thank you for your service, Emily. Thank you for looking after those Aussies who were burning up under the African sun and dying of screaming for water, dying of thirst, and out you rode like a champion. You knew no fear, bullets were like rain, and you did your duty.